Marcus Aurelius ruled the richest empire on earth, and he still wrote himself a note that said wealth is one of the things indifferent to happiness. Read that again. The most powerful man alive, sitting on more gold than most kingdoms combined, had to remind himself not to worship it. If money couldn't own him, what makes you think it won't try to own you? You're building something right now. Maybe it's a startup. Maybe it's a side hustle you're praying turns into a real business. Maybe you're already running a company, and the numbers still keep you up at night. And somewhere in your head there's a voice that says, once I hit that number, once the bank account looks a certain way, I'll finally breathe. That voice is lying to you. It has always been lying to you. Today we're going through 9 Stoic rules that changed how successful founders think about money, straight from the mind of Marcus Aurelius, and by the end of this, you're going to see your bank account completely differently. Not as a scoreboard, not as a source of peace. As a tool, nothing more, nothing less. Stay with me, because rule number 7 is the one that separates founders who burn out from founders who build empires that last. Rule 1. Money is neutral. You are not his, where most entrepreneurs get it backwards. They think money is good or money is bad. They build their entire identity around chasing it or resenting it, and either way, they hand it power over their emotions. Marcus Aurelius didn't see wealth as good or evil. He called it an indifferent, something that in itself carries no moral weight. It's not the money that ruins a founder. It's what the founder decides the money means. If you decide a big payday means you've finally arrived, you've just built your self-worth on something that can vanish in a single bad quarter. If you decide poverty means you're worthless, you've handed your dignity to your bank balance, and your bank balance doesn't care about you. The founders who actually last, the ones who build something real instead of flaming out after one viral launch, they treat money the way a carpenter treats a hammer. Useful, necessary, not something you kneel in front of. When you stop needing the money to feel like somebody, you make sharper decisions, because fear stops steering the wheel. This is the first shift. Not more hustle, not a better pitch deck. A different relationship with the thing you've been chasing since day one. Rule 2. Chase value, not applause. Seneca, Marcus Aurelius's fellow Stoic, wrote about men who spent their whole lives working for things they never even wanted, just because everyone around them wanted those things too. Sound familiar? The founder buying the car he can't afford because his competitor bought one first. The business owner scaling too fast because a stranger on the internet made scaling look like the only path to respect. Stoic founders don't build for applause. They build because the work itself has value, because the problem they're solving actually matters, and the money follows as a side effect of doing something real. The moment you start building for the metrics instead of the mission, you become allergic to hard decisions. You start avoiding the pivot that would save your company because it might look bad on Twitter. You start keeping a product alive that's already dead because admitting failure feels worse than losing money. Ask yourself right now, are you building this because it matters to you, or because you want people to see the number attached to it? That answer is going to decide whether you're still standing in 5 years or whether you're just another cautionary story in someone else's video. Rule 3. Control what's yours, release what isn't. This is the core of everything Epictetus taught, and it applies to your business tighter than almost anything else in Stoic philosophy. There are things in your control: your effort, your decisions, your discipline, your response to failure. And there are things completely outside your control. The market crashing, a competitor undercutting your price, a client ghosting you after months of work, interest rates, algorithms, other people's opinions of your product. Most founders burn themselves out trying to control the second list. They lose sleep over a downturn they had zero power to prevent. They obsess over a bad review instead of focusing on the 10 good ones they earned through actual work. Every ounce of energy spent trying to control the uncontrollable is energy stolen from the one thing that actually moves the needle, which is you. Showing up, doing the work that's actually yours to do. Marcus Aurelius commanded armies and ran an empire, and even he understood he couldn't control outcomes, only actions. If a Roman emperor could accept that, you can accept that your Q3 numbers aren't entirely up to you either. What's up to you is whether you show up tomorrow morning and do the next right thing, regardless of what the market handed you today. This is where the real founders separate from the ones still waiting for permission. Not because they have some secret formula for guaranteed success, but because they stopped wasting themselves on things they were never meant to control in the first place, and put every last drop of that energy into the parts of the business that were theirs all along. That's rule number 1 through 3. We're just getting started, and what's coming next is where this gets uncomfortable, because rule 4 is going to challenge how you think about risk itself. Rule 4: risk what you can afford to lose, not what you can't. Every founder loves to quote "fortune favors the bold." Almost nobody quotes what Seneca actually said about risk, which is that a wise man never gambles the whole ship on one wave. There's a difference between courage and recklessness, and most business advice online blurs that line on purpose, because recklessness makes for better content. Marcus Aurelius wasn't reckless. He was calculated. He moved armies with precision, not with blind faith that things would work out. Stoic founders study the terrain before they commit. They ask the question nobody wants to ask in the middle of a hype cycle, which is simple: if this fails completely, can I still stand up tomorrow? You've seen it happen. A founder mortgages the house, drains the retirement fund, borrows from family, all on a bet that felt unstoppable in the moment. Sometimes it works, most times it doesn't, and the wreckage isn't just financial. It's the trust of everyone who believed in him. That's not boldness. That's a man who confused confidence with certainty, and the market does not care how confident you were. Real risk tolerance isn't about how much you're willing to lose emotionally. It's about how much you can lose and still have the resources, the mind, and the relationships intact to build again. Because here's the truth almost nobody says out loud on this platform: the founders who make it aren't the ones who never lost. They're the ones who lost in a way that left them standing. Rule 5. Guard your time like it's the only currency that matters, because it is. Seneca said it plainly, that we're not given a short life, we make it short by wasting it. Founders love to say time is money, and then they spend 3 hours a day scrolling through competitors' launches, refreshing analytics that haven't changed since the last refresh, sitting in meetings that could have been a 2-line message. Marcus Aurelius kept a private journal, reminding himself not to waste what little time he had on things that didn't deserve it. He ran an empire and still found the discipline to protect his attention, because he understood something most people building companies right now still haven't figured out. Money lost can be earned back. Time lost is gone permanently. No negotiation, no rebuild, no comeback story. Here's where this gets uncomfortable for a lot of you watching. You'll spend hours negotiating a vendor contract down by $200, and then burn an entire afternoon in a Slack thread that produced nothing. You'll obsess over saving money on software subscriptions while letting your calendar get filled with calls that don't move your business 1 inch forward. That's not frugality. That's a founder protecting the wrong currency. The Stoic founders who actually build lasting wealth treat their calendar the way a bank treats its vault. Guarded, deliberate, nobody gets access without earning it. Because at the end of the day, every hour you protect is an hour you can put toward the one thing that actually compounds, which is doing meaningful work, consistently, without interruption. Rule 6. Detach from the outcome, attach to the discipline. This is where most of the internet gets Stoicism completely backwards, and it's costing founders their sanity. People think Stoicism means not caring. It means the opposite. It means caring intensely about your effort while refusing to let the outcome control your identity. Epictetus taught that we suffer not from what happens, but from our judgment about what happens. Translate that into business terms, and it looks like this. A product launch flops. That's an event. What destroys a founder isn't the flop itself, it's the story he tells himself about the flop. I'm a failure. I'll never make it. Everyone's laughing at me. None of that is fact. All of it is a judgment he chose to attach to a neutral event, and that judgment is the thing actually breaking him, not the launch. This is one of the most overlooked Stoic rules for money and success that nobody talks about on this platform, because it doesn't sound as exciting as 10x your revenue. But here it is. The founders who last decades, not months, are the ones who show up with full intensity toward the work and zero attachment to whether the work pays off on schedule. They pour everything into the process, because the process is the only part that was ever theirs to control. The result was always going to be decided by 100 variables outside their hands. The market, timing, luck, forces with no name. You can do everything right and still lose a client. You can build the best product in your category and still watch a worse product win because of timing you couldn't have predicted. If your peace depends on the outcome, you will never have peace, because outcomes are never guaranteed. If your peace depends on knowing you gave everything you had with the discipline of someone who respects the craft, that peace can't be taken from you. Not by a bad quarter, not by a competitor, not by anything. This is the shift that separates the founders burning out in year 2 from the ones still building in year 20. Not talent, not luck. The willingness to detach from what they can't control and attach completely to what they can. We've covered 6 rules now, and I promised you Rule 7 would challenge how you think about risk itself. Here it comes, and it's about to change how you look at every single dollar sitting in your account right now. Rule 7, wealth is a servant, not a master. Marcus Aurelius wrote something that should be carved into the wall of every startup office in America. He said, if you're distressed by anything external, the pain isn't due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. Now apply that directly to money, and here's where it gets uncomfortable for a lot of founders watching this right now. You didn't start your business to become a slave to a bigger number. You started it for freedom. But somewhere along the way, freedom quietly got replaced by a new kind of prison. One where you check your revenue dashboard the second you wake up, where a slow week in sales ruins your whole weekend, where your mood is basically a mirror of your bank balance. That's not wealth working for you. That's you working for wealth, and you didn't even notice the moment the roles flipped. The Stoics had a name for this trap. They called it being enslaved to externals, meaning anything outside your own character that you've let determine your inner state. Marcus Aurelius ruled the wealthiest empire on the planet and still refused to let it own him, because he understood something most founders learn the hard way, usually after their first big exit or their first brutal collapse. Money was always meant to serve your life. The second it starts dictating your mood, your decisions, your identity, you've quietly become its employee instead of its owner. The founders who build generational wealth, not just a good quarter, they flip that relationship early. They use money as fuel for the mission, for the family, for the freedom to build the next thing without fear. But they never let it climb into the driver's seat. Because a founder who needs the number to go up just to feel okay that day is a founder who will eventually make a desperate decision. And desperate decisions are how empires collapse. Rule 8. Practice losing it before you ever actually lose it. The Stoics had a mental exercise called premeditatio malorum, the practice of imagining loss before it happens. Not to spiral, not to live in fear, to strip the loss of its power over you before it ever shows up at your door. Picture this. A founder who has never once imagined losing their business is completely unprepared the day it actually happens, and it destroys him, not just financially but as a person. But a founder who has sat with that thought on purpose, who has asked himself honestly, what would I do if this all disappeared tomorrow, walks into every risk with a kind of calm that terrifies his competitors. He's not scared of the downside because he already looked directly at it and realized he'd survive. This is exactly what Seneca meant when he told his friend Lucilius to rehearse poverty on purpose, to spend a few days living simply, eating little, wearing plain clothes, just so the fear of losing it all would lose its grip on him. He wasn't preparing to fail. He was making sure failure could never blackmail him into a bad decision again. Founders who skip this step end up making terrified choices disguised as confident ones. They stay in a bad partnership because losing the deal feels like losing everything. They avoid a necessary pivot because admitting the old model is dead feels like admitting they're dead too. But the founder who has already stared at the worst-case scenario and made peace with it, he negotiates from strength, because there's nothing left for fear to threaten him with. He already survived it in his mind, long before the market ever tested it in real life. Rule 9. Legacy beats liquidity. The final lesson, and maybe the one that matters most, comes from watching how Marcus Aurelius actually spent his final years. He didn't obsess over the treasury. He obsessed over what kind of man he was becoming, what he'd pass down, what would outlast him. Money was never the finish line. Character was. Ask any founder who's actually made it to the other side of real wealth, the kind that took a decade or more to build. And almost none of them will tell you the number itself brought lasting satisfaction. What brought it was who they became chasing that number. The discipline, the resilience, the people they helped along the way, the thing they built that people actually needed. This is the entire foundation behind these Stoic rules for money and success. The thing every founder eventually has to face whether they're ready or not. The bank account is temporary. It goes up, it goes down, and eventually it becomes a number on a piece of paper someone else inherits. But the character you built, earning it, the discipline you forged in the years nobody was watching, that's the part that actually lasts. That's the part that becomes your real legacy. So here's the question worth sitting with tonight. If your business vanished tomorrow, everything gone, every dollar wiped clean, would you still recognize the man staring back in the mirror? Would you still respect him? Because that man, not the balance sheet, is the actual asset you've been building this whole time. Marcus Aurelius understood this 2,000 years before venture capital existed, before startups, before any of the noise you're drowning in right now. Money comes and goes. Discipline stays. Character stays. And the founders who understand that difference are the ones still standing when everyone who chased the number for its own sake has already burned out and disappeared. If this hit something in you, take 30 seconds and drop a comment with the rule that challenged you the most, because I read every single one. And if you want more of this, straight talk on discipline, money, and building something that actually lasts, Stoic Founder is where I break this down every week. Stick around, because the next one might be the video that changes how you run your entire business.